girl, you better work. I don't know what else to say. There's no other way around it because they will check for you not to be good enough.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say that, you know, I'm just feeling like hated on every minute of every day. I am not, but I'm wise enough to know that that's just the reality. Like the pure facts is they probably don't think you're really going to be able to crush it, right? I hate to say it. So I would say just work, show up, be hungry, you know, and bring it. Like, do you, but like, and for me, it's interesting because of everything that's happened in the last year. I rarely really like emphasized or focused on who I was because I was like, well, that's just me. I don't even need to really speak on it. I'll just be the things you don't expect, which is a chef and a sommelier and a business owner and a bar owner and a Negroni cocktail inventor. Like, I am so many things you don't expect that let's just focus on that.
Like, how did you like still stay true to yourself along that journey of like staying like, this is what I'm really passionate about?
I just believed in myself, bro. Like, I could care less what anyone had to say because I knew. You know, actually, when I was in high school, I got really lucky. One of my teachers gave me this book called The Secret. And it was, I didn't read. Come on, bro. Come on. But that book, for some reason, yeah, it's just like, I just read through the whole thing and I'm like, man, anything you think about can come like to, like real, like, does that really work? So I ended up getting like a whiteboard, writing everything down, even down to like a check. Like, I just wanted a $4,000 check. Because in high school, that's bread, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I got that. YouTube took off. I got the car I wanted. I moved to LA. Like everything, even to this day, I still got the whiteboard. Everything I put on there comes true. No one's going to stop that but me. So that's it. It's just faith and just knowing that you're going to have your high highs and your low lows. But as long as, I guess my message this week of what I've learned is literally what you do today is going to affect you a year from now. Whether that's, you know, how you work, your fitness, how you eat. It's just those simple things. So that's got to fuel knowing what your future is. So I know what I'm doing today is going to affect me a year from now. And then from that year from now, the next year. And I'm seeing everything that I had in plan last year unfolding this year. So.
Yo, welcome to the Part of Everything podcast, where we explore unique individuals on unique journeys, telling unique stories.
We show the connection that all these different stories have in these different life paths. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, or even a CEO, there's something that we can all relate to.
If you want to follow us more episodes, you can definitely tap in on YouTube or any other streaming platform that you have. But other than that, let's get to it. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Part of Everything podcast. I'm your host, Jevon.
I'm Miguel.
Mike for the one time.
And we have a legend in the building, Miss Kendra Anderson.
What's up?
Welcome.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good.
For sure. How's your week, man? What's going on with you?
Hustling. Always hustling, as you know. We have a lot going on right now. The consulting business is kind of popping, so I'm excited.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
For sure. Yeah, so like kind of give like a little check-in, you know, like what's been new with you? Like what's been going on this week? Any inspirational quotes? Any just thing that's like hit you this week?
Trust the process.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny that, you know, the things we might be talking about tonight are really, really hitting right now for me. There's just a lot I have learned in the last like 90 days. It feels like it's been 90 months. I'm not even sure where I started, what has happened. Things are just flowing and it's cool. It's very cool. But, you know, the fact that we sometimes think we might be in charge of stuff is, I am being reminded on the regular that is totally untrue.
True surrender.
Yes.
Life will humble you.
I know. I saw that. I was like, surrender. I was like, I'm literally that-ish right now.
So what does that mean to you? Like, what does surrender mean to you?
I mean, for me, I think it's not quite as literal of just like lay down and like don't do anything. I think of it more like a metaphor, like riding a wave. So it's more just kind of like sometimes it dips, sometimes it rises, and just be with that, not trying to force it to necessarily like go in a certain type of way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let the people know a little bit about you. Like, who's Kendra?
Okay, so
Bit of background, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I moved to Denver to go to college. I went to DU. I didn't think I was going to stay because I was not feeling it. And
The
then,
state or DU?
all of the things.
Where are you originally from?
Yeah, my family's from New York City.
Oh, okay.
And then we moved to California, and then I wasn't really feeling that either. So Denver just turned out, it was honestly just a kind of a fluke, but it turned out. And then I just never left. I ended up getting a good job, and then I got married, and then I got divorced, and then I changed my career. So one thing after another kind of just led to me. And next thing I knew, I had lived here for like 1,000 years. Yeah.
Colorado years are like dog years.
It's
They're
true. You can't quit it. You
Right.
think you're leaving, but you're not.
Right.
Like, when do you think you found your passion?
It's kind of funny because I don't think I thought I had found it. I think I thought my passion was something else. And so it wasn't until, I was really well into my adulthood. I was working in corporate America, and I was just more so feeling like the corporate America thing wasn't fitting.
Right.
And I never really felt like I was going to be passionate about it, but I was like, this is what I'm about to do. Like, I'm good at it. I'm going to make money, this and that. It was really when I started looking at the things that I was enjoying spending my time doing, which was cooking and entertaining and throwing parties for my family when I was, married at the time. I was like, is this like a thing? Like, people don't really like get jobs doing this. Like, I went to college, like, so I didn't have to work in a restaurant kind of thing. And so just over time, I started to like dabble and explore with the idea of, I guess at the time it was like a pop-up, doing catering events for friends or for family. That encouraged me to consider maybe looking into culinary school. I didn't want to be just like the person that's like, the family's like, you're good, you're such a good cook, and just not really good at all. So I was like, let me get some credentials. I ended up kind of doing a whole life reboot. I got a divorce, I moved downtown, I used to live kind of in the suburbs, and went to culinary school and just never looked back.
Okay.
Damn.
So
What was the corporate job or a couple of jobs that you've had?
well, it wasn't as if so I didn't actually totally get out of corporate at that
Right.
time. There's more to that story, but it was kind of big umbrella, you could say, management consulting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so working for different companies, helping them write their strategy, make plans, develop a culture within the organization, kind of just like top line, run-of-the-mill management consulting.
For sure.
Yeah, I did that for a long time.
Dope.
And like, what kind of got you into that? Like, I know that sometimes people feel like, kind of like imposter syndrome of like not feeling they're worthy enough to get these type of businesses, like this type of consulting information. So like,
I resemble that. Yeah, for sure. It was really just a progression. I had worked for a big company, and someone who worked within that company was going out and starting their own like boutique consulting firm. So I was the first kind of employee, really co-founder with the two other folks that, we were all consulting. So that's how it just was a niche that they wanted to kind of just go hard in instead of doing it in a company. They were like, well, we can take this and package it and then, obviously sell it to other businesses who need this help. Sure. So I worked for that firm for 10 years. And then I worked for IBM for about 4 years after that. So that's what I was doing when I opened the bar. But a lot of other things happened in the middle of that. It's a very long story.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then tell us a little bit about the bar Helix.
Absolutely. Well, sadly, we are no more. I had to close the bar in November because of COVID. Just did not have a landlord that was willing to compromise or be creative. So we had been there for 3 years. Really just an up and down journey of entrepreneur, just like all you all know. Good years, bad years, fun times, rough times. But definitely the most important thing I've done so far, I would say, in terms of just like a complete immersion of like my creative mind, my business mind, my things I love. I love Negronis, I love champagne, I love tater tots, I love caviar. That was what we did there. And it was a miracle to really feel like I got up and went to work doing exactly what the fuck I wanted to do.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know how to not want to do that anymore. So it's kind of an interesting space to be in 90 days later.
For sure.
What would you say was the hardest thing about owning a bar?
Everything.
Yeah.
All of it. it's like having a lot of kids.
Yeah.
It's like having a lot of kids and a building to maintain and strangers that come in every night and want something from you. Even though you want to do
responsibility
it,
and liability.
it just everywhere you look, there's some stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's just
Right.
it's like an onslaught. Just every day, it's like on and popping.
So it's kind of like you're
Every
glad
day.
to have had it.
I
That's
loved
it.
it. No,
Like-
I'm telling you, even though it was like the worst, hardest work I've ever done, and worst meaning like no social life, no sleep,
Yeah.
no money, like just all the struggle. I never was happier, ever was happier. So
Wow.
it's like, how do you can't get out of it because you
Right.
like, it's like an adrenaline thing.
For
yeah.
sure.
You need it after a while because it is so satisfying. Like, how do you not want that when you feel
Dang.
like every part of your senses are engaged in something that you really love?
That's an interesting perspective in terms of like how different people define success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be going rough for you for a long amount of time,
Yes.
but that doesn't feel like a setback because you're just doing what you
That's
enjoy
right.
doing.
That's right. It was easy for me to quit my day job, so to speak, even though
Right.
it took me a long time, because I never, for even 5 minutes, felt the emotion that I felt even getting ready to open the bar that I felt with, like 20 years of corporate life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even a whisper of that emotion. So it was easy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mike or Jevon has some I'm sure difficult moments of starting both the businesses that you guys have started. And
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of high highs and low lows, but it is that whole aspect of you love it, so you don't even
Right.
really
Yeah.
notice it at all. So
I really do feel like the metaphor of child care or having a family is so accurate because kids be getting on your damn nerves, but you love them more than
Right.
life. Like
Yeah.
you just would never not want that because
Yeah.
that's your fam.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So the bar for me became that, as well as the people who worked for me, with me, where I felt my family.
Yeah.
So it was just a whole universe. That was amazing.
And you had your own like feel to it too. Hence the Negroni, hence like the whole
Yeah.
vibe of the shop. Like
Yeah.
explain like what made that space special and unique from other places.
That is so interesting. And I'm actually, not to put the question back to you, but I want to have a conversation about how when you have a vision as an artist or a creative or an entrepreneur, there's only that voice in your head. And so for me, the niche or the area that I chose to focus in kind of came back to things that first I was passionate about. So the Negroni cocktail. And does everybody know what a Negroni
no.
is?
Explain that.
A lot of people
familiar.
don't. That's
Yeah, no,
part
I
of
don't.
what I'll tell you why I ended up pursuing it. So it's equal parts Campari, which is a bitter Italian liqueur, gin, everybody knows gin,
Yeah.
and then vermouth, usually sweet vermouth.
Okay.
That's the original, the OG recipe. It was invented in the 1900s by an Italian count. So it has roots in Italy. Like it was a very popular cocktail, like kind of World War I, World War II.
Right.
Kind of went out of fashion a little bit and then kind of started coming back at the end of the 20th century. And then it became like a really popular thing in the bar industry and the restaurant industry. The flavor profile is bitter, so it isn't for everyone, right? You're not going to take a sip generally and just be like, oh my God, this is the most delicious thing I've ever had because it's bitter.
Right.
But you get used to it. And then it's like, your first cup of coffee you didn't love either, right? Your first
True.
shot of whiskey, you were like, oh
yeah.
my God. It just takes a minute. And
Yeah.
then once you get your palate used to it, you kind of fall in love with it. And so I was drinking them like crazy. And I realized that I had worked as a sommelier, so like a wine professional, as another part of my little career pivot. And something that always I noticed with people was that, people stay in their lane. They find something they like and they just like attach to it.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily, I used to say, drink outside the comfort zone, drink outside their box. And so I realized that I had had success just talking to friends or, people I knew who weren't familiar with the Negroni, and I would make that for them. And then, they would be like, well, kind of cool. Like, I like it. And I was like, well, why don't I just try to go hard here and provide like an educational component, like an experiential component that, makes people feel it's okay if you don't know something and if you're not familiar with it, by making it like putting it in a fun package. Or so like all the drink names were kind of like naughty, a little funny. So you would look at the menu, and instead of being like nervous that you didn't know what Campari was, we could have a dialogue about the name of the drink or how we came up with it.
What are some of the names?
Oh,
You can cuss on
we
there.
had one. We had a version of the Negroni that was a sour, like a whiskey sour. So with egg white, and we made a Negroni lollipop that we put on top, and we called that "Suck My Negroni." That was, people always thought that was really funny. The white Negroni, so one that we used different ingredients to make it essentially clear. So it wasn't red. The normal Negroni cocktail is red. So it was a white Negroni, and the name of the gin we used was a gunpowder Irish gin, and my head just went to a gun, like an actual gun. So then I called it Fully Cocked. And so I know it's a lot. So, but it was so fun, and that was like why it was such a great. I loved my business so much, because it wasn't just the drink names; it was like the branding of the drinks and the drinks themselves, the glassware, the way the menu looked. I wrote all the playlists for the bar. Like it was a full immersion for me. I decided to do that because I took a lot of pleasure from helping people kind of expand their horizons. And for me, like the bar business and the wine business is not necessarily super inclusive. And by that, I mean, we don't necessarily see a lot of like cross marketing or trying to extend to communities of color or broader communities outside of what you're familiar with. So we see hard marketing of Hennessy and cognac to the Black community. We see hard marketing of Moscato or Riesling to the Black community, because that's what somehow that has been like associated with us. And that's cool. I'm a fan of both of those things. But what I wasn't a fan of was seeing my guests come in and only drink those things. And I'm just like, what is happening? There's like a million other types of drinks and spirits and wine. If you're here, why don't we see about like what could happen if we take you over here? And so that became that was my vision for the bar at the beginning, was to like help people kind of evolve a little bit.
No, I think it's important to push the culture, because like people don't know what they don't know.
Don't know what they don't know.
Exposing people, I can definitely see you getting pleasure from that, because it's like you literally probably see their mind like, oh shit.
I
like,
literally saw
amazing.
their minds be like, oh shit, this is amazing. Every night. And for me, it was not so much about having them come in and just spend money, support the bar. I really saw it as an opportunity for me to expand your entire lifestyle, right? Because if I get you into a drink that you hadn't had, and maybe it's like a thing you're curious about, well, now I want to like dive into gin. So then maybe now you're at home, you're hanging out with the homies or your friends or your lady or whatever, and you're sampling that. And then maybe you go out of town and you're on vacation, you're in some other city, and that inspires you to like go check out a distillery while you're on that trip, because you're like, hey, I think this gin is from New York. I'm gonna check this out while I'm here. So for me, it's a journey to like a broader type of exploration, just living a bigger life, than just like kind of staying comfortable with like stuff you already know. That's how I roll. So I was like, this could be cool.
For sure.
Awesome.
So how did that experience translate to like the current stage you're in right now?
The experience of entrepreneurship
And just owning your business, and like being a person that kind of like expanded these, people's perspectives, like the whole experience.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you asked that, because when the bar closed, I was not expecting that. So that was nothing I had planned for. I mean, of course, it was in my mind because COVID and just life, anything could happen, but I wouldn't say that I was expecting that at that time to happen. And so it was difficult to imagine kind of like immediate next steps, because if you're like not thinking that that's gonna be the thing, like why would you have a whole plan for like what you would do next? So it took a minute for me to just even get my head wrapped around it. It really felt like real legit like grief, like somebody died grief, it was rough. And so but having said that, when you have your own business, I had employees that I was trying to find space for and money, to help them stay afloat. I needed to try to find, an income source.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting because earlier last summer, I had been approached by just a person I knew through some other people who was starting a real estate development project. He approached me and said, how would you feel about opening a concept in this future real estate development? And this was mid-COVID. This was like June. And I was like, have you seen what's happening in the restaurant business? Like, I'm not hip on opening new restaurants and bars. Like, this one barely opened. Like, what are you talking about? And so, but something in me, I will never understand why, but I looked at him and I said, but I will help you find people who might want to be operators in this future space. Mm-hmm. He was like, cool, I'm into that idea. And backing up to the consulting world, between the time I legit left my career corporate consulting role and before I opened the bar, I had a consulting business that was me, my brand, Swirl Girl Denver. It was wine consulting. It was putting together wine lists. It was producing wine events. It was I wrote about wine for a number of years in a number of different publications. So I had a little umbrella, like a little LLC. And every so often I would do things for like Campari brand. So I had the business. And I'm like, what if I just started doing like a little consulting on the side, use this opportunity that this guy wants help with, and I'll just like do that. But I'm still running the bar. Like I'm not expecting to close, but I'm like, then I brought my general manager in and she got on the project. So we're doing a little side hustle, if you want to call it that, consulting back last summer. So when the bar closes in November, we had that client and we already had like talks with a couple other clients, but I was kind of putting them off because I didn't have time. So right away, like within literally the couple weeks of the bar closing, I'm like full court press, launch this new consulting business so we can keep stuff flowing. So I have not stopped. There has not been a moment. So to answer your question, how did that experience translate into like what I'm doing now? It literally translated it because it connected me with people who have subsequently hired me and hired my team to start doing real consulting work. Yeah. And also the Clayton, which you are also involved with, that's how I met them. And their outreach to me to try to get me to just be involved with the Clayton when I was just like, no, more no, definitely it's a no. They kept asking why I was not feeling the concept. And it turned out, just to keep the story short, that what they needed help with is something I'm good at. And so that's then turned into yet another client. Sure. So I'm just hustling. I'm just working, like literally working nonstop. It's kind of cool.
Do you ever feel like tokenized in a way is when you like do these consulting?
Of course, yeah. I mean, there's never been a moment in my career that I didn't have that voice in my, little inner ear that's like, are you really the one they wanted to hire? Are you really the most qualified? I mean, it's impossible to be a person of color, forget a woman of color in an industry that, not like all the industries, aren't mostly dominated, but especially, right? Hospitality, food and beverage, chefs, sommeliers, spirits producers. There are no people like us, right? There are very, very few. So my entire adult life has had that voice. So what I choose to do instead is just show up with my full force of whatever talent, ability I have and make them forget it, right? So that they, even if they were on the fence, like maybe they were, by the time they're done, like we're really working together, they're not seeing that, and hopefully all they're seeing is like what I'm contributing. Yeah.
Sure. So what would you tell a black woman entering her own realm of business? Like, what would you tell?
Girl, you better work. I don't know what else to say. There's no other way around it because they will check for you not to be good enough.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say that, I'm just feeling like hated on every minute of every day. I am not, but I'm wise enough to know that that's just the reality. Like the pure facts is they probably don't think you're really going to be able to crush it. Right. I hate to say it. So I would say just work, show up, be hungry, and bring it. Like do you, but like, and for me, it's interesting because of everything that's happened in the last year. I rarely really like emphasized or focused on who I was because I was like, well, that's just me. Like, I don't even need to really speak on it. I'll just be the things you don't expect, which is a chef and a sommelier and a business owner and a bar owner and a Negroni cocktail inventor. Like I am so many things you don't expect that let's just focus on that. Like the part of me being like a black woman is the least interesting thing about me. Swear to God.
Do you go into things like just knowing your value then? Like, I know a lot of people,
I do.
let's say, for example, a brand approach you.
Yeah.
You know your value
Yep.
already. So it's like, either you pay me what I'm worth,
Right.
or I don't need you because my life's going to keep moving regardless.
That's right. And that's a work in progress, right? Like, I
Yeah.
certainly believe that.
Yeah.
Do I get worried when I'm not sure when my next gig is or when the bar closed and I was literally like, oh my fucking God, like, what am I about to do?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I'm not saying like every day is superwoman, you know.
No, of
moment.
course. Yeah.
But
There's
like,
always high highs
and
and
I
lows.
believe it. I do
Yeah,
believe it.
okay.
And I, you know, because I know I've done the work. I've put in 1,000 hours. I've done all the things that lead to where you do have like real credentials.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you do. You have to definitely start with self-love and, you know, manifestations. And I do a lot of meditating. Just try to
Yeah.
keep it together.
It's important.
We got a challenge round coming for you.
Okay.
All right, so our new segment. It's called Shot Clock.
Oh God.
Pretty much, you got 24 seconds, and
keep
we're
going.
gonna run off a list of questions. Feel free to say pass, but
Okay.
the goal is to get 3 or more questions right. And if you get these questions right, then you get a free item in the store of your
Lord.
choice.
Okay.
So, you ready?
I hope so.
Okay. All right.
24
These questions
seconds.
ready. Yep. Let me get these questions ready
Good
real quick.
God. Okay.
So
Nervous.
in 24 seconds, she has to get
Three
or
right.
more.
This is
Okay.
like a lightning round.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what kind of questions? Just all the questions.
Trivia. Yeah. Yep. There you go. Start digging in the mind
I
files.
know. I'm like, why didn't I have like some coffee before I came?
You did have a lot of trivia about Negroni and
I
stuff
got
like
all-
that.
I mean, I
True.
have all sorts of useless knowledge, I'm sure.
Okay.
Start.
Hey,
Count me down, Miguel.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
After Antarctica, what is the most sparsely populated continent?
after Antarctica?
Yep.
Oh my God. I'm thinking Greenland, but that's not a continent.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
What ancient civilization built Machu Picchu in Peru?
Indians?
The Incas.
Yeah, that's Inca Indian.
What is the ancient Egyptian writing system called?
Hieroglyphic.
There you go. 1 out of
Jesus.
There we go. Yeah, that was it.
the,
Stress me out. What is the other, what's the continent?
Australia.
Random.
What was
Thank
that,
you.
2?
That was
Or-
hella random.
Yeah, that was 2.
No,
She
I
got-
got
she got
3.
2.
Wait, 2.
Yeah, she got 2 out of 3.
So you got 2?
Yeah.
I got Inca, and
Oh,
I got
hieroglyphics, yeah.
hieroglyphics.
2 out of 3 for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, did my best.
Still solid.
It's all
For
right.
sure.
That's better
That
than
was hard ass
yeah.
trivia. I thought it was gonna be like name all the people in NSYNC or some shit like that. Like,
Can you do that right
No.
now?
No,
I was
no.
gonna say.
but that would be the. I was like, okay, we're gonna
Right.
do some like fun little pop trivia.
So,
Yeah.
Family Feud.
Making me think. Okay,
I told you it's going to be a challenge. It's a challenge, Joe.
very much so.
Okay, so I have another question for you.
Okay.
If you were to paint a picture of your current stage in your life right now, paint the picture with words, what does this picture look like?
It looks. It's like a wide open field. It's grassy, like it's green. It's not like a dry, dusty field. And it's got all kinds of like things growing. I just feel like it's a growth visual. So
Everyone close your eyes.
trees, plants, maybe some vineyards, some grapes. Yeah, I feel like it's just it's an open path, an open field, and I'm surrounded by just like good energy. Like there's
A lot of
beautiful
growth.
weather, there's sun. Yeah, I feel like the sun is shining for sure.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be in that stage?
A little frightening. I'm a planner, but I do like to try to ride the wave. So it's that constant push and pull of like, let go, try to grab it. Let go, try to grab it. Like all the things. But I feel positive. Like to see that I'm in a growth phase where I'm literally like signing new clients and having billable work, and I'm barely not like totally shook and just ruined from having to close my business is phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
I can I can't say anything but thank you and grateful, and right, I can't even be sad. I can only be happy, because what if the bar, this is like the thing I've really been like sitting with for the last 30 days. What if I thought the bar was the goal, but the bar was not the goal? what if opening the bar, and I think I told you this, what if that was always just a way, like a portal into this whole other different life?
Well,
That's like fucking with me,
yeah, no, it's kind of like the way you make God laugh and show him your plans,
right?
you know?
Right.
It's like one of those perfect examples of that.
But it's crazy because the path to opening the bar was quite linear. It wasn't, I didn't orchestrate it specifically, but every step was truly like, and then this happened, and then that happened. It took a long time, and it was stressful, and it took me 5 whole years to open the bar. So I'm not trying to make it sound like I just had everything dialed,
Right.
but this is such a hard left that was so unexpected and so traumatic. It was, I couldn't have fathomed that it was potentially just the wrapper around something ultimately like positive and meant to like maybe catapult me to like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
There would be no human who could have conceived of that, you know, because it
Right.
was just so awful. So yeah, that's a strange thing to kind of have on your mind, but I tell you what, it gives you a lot of energy to like think about how to move, you know. So I'm just trying to stay loose.
I feel that.
Yeah.
100%. Wow. Like, like, how would you paint your picture of your life right now, Mike?
Whoa. Man, usually I can always answer that question, but right now there's so much going on. I would just honestly paint myself on top of a mountain, bro. Like straight up. I feel amazing, and I wouldn't even say I'm at the top of the mountain. I'm just like gradually going up the mountain, and I can just see it's getting higher and higher, but I can keep going. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah, what about you?
Man, I would say, I'm trying to think how to paint this picture. It would be more of like, I'm kind of in a similar place of like, I'm on this mountain, but I'm
Yeah.
at the top. But I've like taken on so much. It's like my bag is just like
Feel
Big ass
that.
backpack.
Feel
big
that.
ass backpack, and I'm just like trying to figure out if I'm about to make it to the top. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I'm just like,
Word, I feel that. I like
here we
that.
go.
Miguel?
Yeah.
Mine would probably be like a Jackson Pollock painting, like just abstract splatters of paint, or just a lot of stuff going on that might not make sense to people that see it, but like there's a purpose there of like all the different, there's a splash of yellow here, there's some red here, and it doesn't immediately make sense, but there's feeling, there's a purpose to it, I think is the
How do you
general
navigate telling your story when it doesn't make sense to a lot of people?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to even like form my story myself, is like, because I'm not even sure which part is the which part is the part that is the start of the movie, I guess, like
Yeah.
I'm not even sure where it picks up, so I don't know. I just try to give the gist of it and see if people understand. But
Perception, right?
Right.
You just let them perceive what they want.
right, exactly.
And how did you navigate that? Like, Mike, like you started like doing YouTube, and then like before you blew up, like you were telling people like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like 90% of people were like, dude, this is crazy. Like,
Get a real job.
Yeah, get a real
Right.
job. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like this isn't real. You're living this fantasy life. How did you like still stay true to yourself along that journey of like staying like, this is what I'm really passionate about?
I just believed in myself, bro. Like, I could care less what anyone had to say, because I knew, actually when I was in high school, I got really lucky. One of my teachers gave me this book called The Secret. And it was, I didn't read, come on, bro. Come on. But that
there
book,
a
for
video?
some
Is there a
reason,
movie?
yeah, it's just like, I just read through the whole thing, and I'm like, man, anything you think about can come like to
Big facts.
like real, like, does that really work? So I ended up getting like a whiteboard, writing everything down, even down to like a check. Like, I just wanted a $4,000 check, because in high school, that's bread, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so I got that. YouTube took off. I got the car I wanted. I moved to LA. Like, everything, even to this day, I still got the whiteboard. Everything I put on there comes true. No one's going to stop that but me. So that's it. It's just faith, and just knowing that you're going to have your high highs and your low lows. But as long as, I guess my message this week of what I've learned is literally what you do today is going to affect you a year from now. Whether that's, how you work, your fitness, how you eat. It's just those simple things. So that's got to fuel knowing what your future is. So I know what I'm doing today is going to affect me a year from now, and then from that year from now, the next year. And I'm seeing everything that I had in plan last year unfolding this year. So it's a little deep into that, but
No, for sure.
that's kind of, yeah.
And
That's
what would you
just,
say is the anchor to your faith?
I don't know. How would you answer that? Like, what do you mean?
Like what? So like you said, you have that faith in yourself. You have
Yeah.
that faith in something that you can't really see right now.
Yeah.
You know, what grounds you in that faith?
Man, I don't know. I guess maybe just the lifestyle I want to live.
Hmm.
That's about it. That's all I can really think of. It's just how I wanted to live. I've never had a normal job ever, which is crazy. And I guess hearing
dope.
experiences from, yeah, it's crazy. Just from like my family and how they just hate their job and they hate their life. I don't really hate their life, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
I never wanted that.
Mm.
So that was, I guess, the anchor to lead me to, okay, you don't want to live this way, so what do we got to do to avoid it? And that's what motivates me every day and is that anchor today.
I totally feel that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, what is the alternative that I'm not willing to accept?
Yeah.
So we've got to have to do the things that are going to make that not be a possibility.
Yeah.
It's just like, I won't be broke. I won't be homeless. I won't be whatever, a mess. Like those are like big exaggerative terms, but like in general, I don't want to settle.
Yeah.
I would just say the best way to describe it is that I am not content to settle. I want to just live the biggest, fattest, craziest, dopest life ever. And that doesn't always mean material wealth, or
Yeah.
it doesn't always mean whatever, like the typical things that sometimes people feel. My whole thing always has been, truly, and I don't want to sound dramatic because I really, really, really mean it. I want to be living a life where if I was to get hit by a car, I'll be cool.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like I can say that today, right now, and I've been able to say that, honestly, since I opened the bar.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I'm good. Like, struggles, successes, I have lived every bit of the life that I have been able to live up
Yeah.
to
That's
this point.
so amazing because I feel like that's the best way to live. You know, like you have to like feel like you gave it your all. You have to be able to look in the
That's
mirror
right.
and be like,
All out.
Yeah.
Right.
I live my best life. You know,
That's right.
whatever that came with, it might not be everything you wanted, but it's like
That's
I
right.
gave it my all.
Yeah.
Right,
like
because
to
it's
say
full of
that.
mistakes and it's
Yeah.
full of drama, full of heartbreak, and full of money earned and spent
Mm-hmm.
and lost and all of that. But it's not boring, and it's definitely not like dry. Like it's like
Right.
all the way on, turned all the way
Yeah.
on. So
And how did you battle? Like you had a corporate job. I'm sure you were making enough to be comfortable.
mhm.
You know, and like a lot of people get caught in that comfortability. Of,
Yeah.
Fear.
I'm making enough, so like, you got a little extra
That's
money.
it,
You
yeah.
can give your family a little money if they need something. Your
That's right.
nephews or your family members, and it's like you're living decent. But like, how did you go past that? Like, I want more.
Because what I wanted wasn't money. I had plenty of money. I wanted that business, and I wanted that vision, and I wanted that creative control, and I wanted that experience-driven life. And honestly, it was funny because I tried to prepare myself for this drastic drop in income that I was about to have. So like I downsized and like got a different car, and
Yeah.
I was very logical about it because I was like, girl, you're not gonna about to be paying all, you're not living like this anymore.
Yeah.
So I really did it very like strategically, and I got myself to a level of, what I thought I could afford once I opened the bar. I never once was like, oh, if only I still had that job. There was definitely nights or times where I wanted to like take a big trip or, whatever, but never, I promise you on everything, I never was like, I should not have quit that job. I wish I still had that money. First of all, I was always working. So I didn't have really a lot
Yeah.
of free time to spend the money that I didn't have. But I just never missed it. I was so full and so happy and so delighted by what I was doing that I just truly, I kept waiting to be like angry that I didn't like have the dollars in the bank account, and it just never happened. And it's been 5 years. So it's like, I'm clearly over it. I actually have more money now technically with consulting,
Yeah.
back consulting, than I never like gave myself a paycheck with the bar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, so
of course.
like, I'm like, oh my God, I got like a check the other day, and I was like, what the, okay.
Cool.
It was so funny. It was really funny, but that just goes to show you level yourself off in a place where that's not what you're wrapped around.
Right.
It's a freer space to live for sure. Like, that more money, more problems is true facts.
Right.
So, what advice would you give somebody transitioning, like wanting to, they have that vision, they have this like want to like exit that corporate world and start their own thing, what advice would you give them to do that? Like a 30-year-old.
Yeah, I am a big fan and a big proponent of business plans. I know a lot of people with a lot of dreams and don't want to do the work to like prove that it can work.
Right.
Dreams are not real. Like they are still just dreams until you actually put it on paper, show a plan, show what it will take, show how much money it's going to cost, what can it generate. I'm helping a couple of clients right now who have like cool products or cool ideas, and I'm like, where is your sales strategy? Crickets. I'm like, so this is just a hobby. Like, you're not trying to really make a business, because businesses, you don't know, promise you there are no businesses that are really successful that do not have basic things like sales strategies, marketing strategies, social media strategies. Like, this is real shit. You can't just be cute or talented or like make a cute hat. Like, you understand that that's just not the way it works.
Yeah.
So I would say you have to follow that part. I'm not saying you have to do it in the corporate America exact formula, but you do have to do something. You have to have some sort of a structure or a plan that you will use. And actually, let me back up. Tied with that is a vision, right? A really clearly articulated vision for what you want to do, how you want to do it, and in what period of time you hypothetically would like to have that happen. If other than that, if you're just kind of like waking up every day and just being like, well, maybe I'll like post a thing on social media today, or maybe I'll like go look at fabric today, like that is not a plan. You got to have a whole structure. And that is the discipline that I learned in management consulting that I'm so glad I did, because the average, kind of little restaurant person, they're good at the food or they're good at the drinks, but they're not. And I'm not saying I was like great at the business, but at least I knew I needed those fundamentals for sure.
Right.
So plan, make more plans, have other people look at the plans, tell you that the plans are shit, fix the plans. Like, I went through that for many years. That's right.
That's your foundation.
I mean, you can't, and just don't, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change the room. You need to get the hell out of that room, because that's never going to serve you.
Sure.
That's huge advice I would give to anybody. And I'm trying to always be like, who can I learn something from today? Like, I am definitely not the one.
For sure. Right. So before we wrap up, I would love to ask, like, what's next for you? Like, what's the next step?
What isn't
in
next?
your journey?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that this like surrender kind of concept we talked about is big for me this year. It's only been 6 weeks of 2021, and I'm already feeling really just positive and motivated. So I think staying in this space of like asking the universe for what I want, and then getting ready to do the work to make that happen. Like staying open, saying yes to, I have a whole policy, and I also give this as like not advice, but just like something to think about. I try to say yes more than I say no to things that are, even directionally interesting to me, right? If it's a hard no, then I'm not going to say yes. But if it might be cool, I'm going to say yes, because doors be flying open. And not in terms of money, just in terms of people and exposure and lessons and just observations. So I'm trying to say yes.
Wow.
Love it.
Taking that away from myself. It's a big one.
It served me well. It has served me well.
So where can people find you or your business? Or, where can
find me on the gram. It's Swirl Girl Denver is my Instagram. We have a website and other assets involved right now for the consulting business. They're not quite ready for prime time, but it's called Modern Queens Consulting Group. So MQCG. That should be live probably by the end of the month, actually.
Dope. By the time they see this, it'll be.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so it's Experience MQCG.
Perfect.
Dope.
Sweet.
I love it.
Dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Oh, cool. This
Another
was great.
episode of, a very great guest, unique journey.
Thanks for coming on.
And sharing a very unique story. It's very genuine. So a pleasure to have you, Kendra.
Thank you. It was my pleasure as well.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, another great episode in the books. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are looking for more episodes. You can find us on any other streaming platform that you have. Other than that, much love, y'all. Be safe. Peace.